Let this start recording. Boom. All right. Hola, mi gente. ¿Qué pasa? Mr. Mario aquí. And this is a meaningful conversation with Mr. Mario. And today's guest is an awesome man by the name of Tommy Caprio. I'll give you one of these round of applause. This is what we do when we're online here.
That's how we do it.
You know, it's visual, yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, Tommy comes from New Jersey. He went to West Virginia University, the Mountaineer. Go Mountaineers. Now you guys are super proud of
Mountaineers. Here we go.
What is it? What is that? Why are you guys so all about your mascot?
We are just a very proud university. One thing about West Virginia is that we don't have any professional sports there, and that's all they have, and they're very, very proud.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no professional sports in the state of West Virginia.
That runs around for those sports?
Yeah, well, we have no sports, professional sports.
West Virginia.
So people love the state of West Virginia. I mean, they love their Mountaineers, you know. But I am from beautiful New Jersey, more proud of that than anything. And now I live in Los Angeles.
What part of Jersey are you from?
I'm from North Jersey originally, the Caldwells. Yeah, most people would remember it from me. I probably best remember the area from The Sopranos. That would be the area that I grew up.
Oh, get out of town. All right. So, but you did mention you are in Los Angeles. Tommy is a very successful man. He's co-executive producer of the Jim Jeffries Show for 2 years, and he was supervising producer of the Tavis Smiley Show for over 700 episodes. Mm-hmm. And I know you've got an amazing story behind how you got into the television world, because you didn't start there. It's not like you moved to Los Angeles with a job.
No, I didn't have much of a plan. I just had a dream. To give you a backstory, I've known Mario for we know each other 17 years now, almost 16 years.
Go back.
Yeah, it goes back. I think we met when we both kind of were in that stage of early Los Angeles, trying to make it and trying to do our thing. You were out here for a while. That's when we met. And my story was similar to others. A lot of people out here was that you come out here with a hope and a dream and not exactly a really good plan. A little bit of money in your pocket that you made, probably doing some job that you hated.
Tell us, what was the job you did that you hated?
I had lots of them. I was a door-to-door salesman for office supply company, and I was doing that when I was in Manhattan, walking door to door and trying to sell them like paper, or trying to sell them office supplies. And every day, people would literally just slam the door in my face. I mean, literally, it wasn't just like you're learning things like. But yet, before that, I was a FedEx delivery guy, which wasn't so bad now. Now, when life gets really stressed, I keep saying to myself, I really wish I had that route, because you just got in the truck, you did your thing, and then all you had to worry about was like coming up with small talk, like, "Oh, weather's nice today, huh? Looking good out there. Oh, it's chilly today." Like, you do that for about 40, 50 times in a row, and then you head home. It's nice, And now, when life gets really stressed, you say to yourself, "You know what? Life wasn't so bad getting in that truck. Just going on my own pace and no one bothering me." So I missed that. But I'm salesman, painting, moving companies, all these different things. Right before I got here, I was a landscaper. I think I hit rock bottom. I went back to living in my parents' basement, was landscaping, and of course it was a horrible landscaping company, and we didn't start until like noon, which is, most of you supposed to be done by noon. And exactly. I was just like, if I don't go and follow my dream, or follow what I've always wanted to do, then I'll be on my deathbed and have to say would have, could have, should have forever. I remember that
conversation. Was your dream to become a producer?
I didn't know. I knew that I wanted to work in entertainment, and maybe that comes from being a middle child and wanting to do something completely different. But I knew that I wanted to do something that was hitting people on a larger scale, because I also was a school teacher. Remember, I taught history for a little while. I went back to while I was living on the beach in Jersey, I was going to night school to get a certificate for history education. And then I realized when I went through all that it wasn't going to be a job that just had my summers off. I'd actually have to teach kids. And I realized I didn't love it as much as I thought I did. That's when I actually picked up out here. And I'll tell you what, when you finally are in line with what you're supposed to do, things just naturally fall into place, man. Like, it's like meeting you when I got out here, or the guy I lived with out here, Benny. We went to college together, but I ran into him when he was out here, and he's like, "Hey, I got an extra room, need a place to stay." It's just like it all started to fall into place.
That's how it works, man.
Yeah, it really is.
So it's funny. The reason why I'm focusing on why did you leave the landscaping job, why did you leave what you were doing? Because there's a quote there right above it says, if you don't like your job, quit. And I really feel that way. And like do it for your employer too. If you don't like it, like guess what? You're probably not gonna do a good job. They're not gonna be happy. You're not gonna be happy. So and you leave. You were the last job you had was the landscaping job, and you probably needed that job because you said you hit rock bottom. So you go, listen, let me go pursue my dreams, which you have. You're a very successful man. You've made in Hollywood. Like this for you because most people go out there and don't figure it out. You somehow figured it out, and you're single. You're 42 years old, right? So you're single, successful, 42, and you're serious about getting married now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So like, how did you get there then? Like how did that happen for you?
Well, there's a couple funny things here. It's like, for starters, everyone's always like, why aren't you married? Or why don't you want that life? Because my parents are still married, 51
How
years.
many years?
51.
Wow.
All right. 51 years married, just had to, and I'm a middle of 5 kids. I come from, a great family, pretty, very stable living, suburban life, middle class. And, everyone's like, well, why are you so anti it for so long? And I'm like, well, it didn't look all that awesome to me. You know what I mean? Like, because I know that my parents, they gave up so much for us, and they had left so many dreams on the table. I know they did. I know there was places they wanted to see, places they wanted to go, career opportunities they wanted to, but they started a family young. And I think at a young age, I thought to myself, like, I'm going to go do all the things in honor of them that they would have wanted to do. And then when I'm ready, I'll do that. And then it's not that so much you're ready. It's about finding someone else who is ready as well. So, and then when you do find that person, you're like, let's make sure this really works. Because if I'm going to wait this long to do it, I want to do it once. You know what I mean? And in a world we live with, these younger people get married so soon, and maybe they're blind, but also maybe they just think there's no way that this is ever going to end. And I'm a pessimist by nature. I always believe that potentially something's not going to work out, and which has saved me in a lot of ways as well. I got that from my mother. She always thought everybody was out to get us. But yeah, so making sure someone else is ready too. And to go back on something you said before about quitting your job and all those different things, is like, I would have never been ready to be getting ready to get married, or want to get married, or to have moved all the way out to Los Angeles to pursue a dream without all those steps leading up to it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, land was crucial. Painting was crucial. You're standing in those plant yards, watering plants for hours, just dreaming about something bigger for hours on end, planning who I wanted my partner to be, what type of partner I wanted her to be. All that stuff. Like, if I had come out here at 20 years old or 25 years old, I would have failed miserably because I didn't have all those experiences leading up to it to find that drive, to find that passion. So when people are like, I'm not where I'm supposed to be, you are always exactly where you're supposed to be.
Ooh, I love that. I love it. Yeah, that is awesome. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. That's a good one to hear. Thank you for sharing that. That's a great. You know what? That's PMA. It's a positive mental attitude.
Yeah, I try. Speaking of positive mental attitude, I don't know that the people know Mr. Mario that well yet. Mr. Mario is one of those guys who, when I first met, was just like, I need to spend time with that dude. He just makes you feel good, and that stuff is infectious. And that is, I've always felt that way about you. I really think, like, and that's why I'm glad to see you having so much success and doing all the great things you're doing, because I even told, my girlfriend, who I live with now, big step, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we've been living together, right? I'm like, wow. I'm doing this interview with Mario, and he's the greatest. He's got, like, he just makes you feel good. He's got that energy. He's got that it factor, which we'll talk about later when it comes to how you make it, in this business. My best advice, all those different things. So I don't want to steal. I'm talking too much. You got it.
I love everything. What you're saying is in alignment, because it goes along with why you're successful. Like you've got this mentality. You see the best in others, which allows you to see the best in yourself. You see the best in yourself, which allows you to see the best in others. I got that reversed. But I like what you said, that all the experience that you had helped you to get to where you're at today, where the time where you were watering the lawn and you think about, oh, who's my partner? Like, who do I want to marry, and what do I want to do before I get married? Like, most people probably don't take that time to think about that. And the stigma is that if you're old, and I actually had someone say this to me. I was 40 years old at the time, and she's like, "You're 40 and not married? What's wrong with you?" I was like, "What's wrong with me?" I was like, "Oh, I'm like, what's right with me?" And you verbalized it. Like, I took the time to think about what is the thing I want to do, but society, like, there's a stigma. Like, people are like, well, you're 40 and not married. Exactly what you said. I was like, okay. So they kind of make you want to feel like something's wrong.
Something wrong with it, right? No, it is about just, we live in a world where it shouldn't be a stigma anymore. And this goes back to a lot of different things about what you major in college, all those different things. And I think it really starts with your upbringing. And we will see a turn in this because we do have older parents now, especially in Los Angeles. Cities like New York City, Los Angeles, it's very common to see people who are in their 40s who aren't married. And when they do, they have 1 or 2 kids. We don't live in a world where it's that easy for you to have, like my family, 5. I don't know how many you had in yours, like 4 or 5 in your family.
4 now, yeah.
4, right. Like, that's just crazy town. You know what I mean? In this day, financially, you got to be out of control, and you need 2 people in order to help, build that type of community. They both have to be working. Plus, you want your partner to be working. I don't know that there's many people who are interested in having a wife who stays home all day either. I don't know. I mean, it's like, and plus, it's healthy for them to have something that they do other than just. It's different if you have kids and you raise kids. Yeah. So it's like, it's a different world, and so that stigma may change, but it's still there. You're right. And but years ago I said I don't care.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure we highlight a couple of things because like I want to actually spend some time. Like, I understand why you're single, because you were taking care of yourself, and that was a conscious decision, and good for you. Along the way, you became, you told us that you hit rock bottom, which is we know what that means. But then you built yourself back up, and like I said, you were supervising producer of the Tavis Smiley Show for over 700 episodes. That's huge. Co-executive producer of the Jim Jeffries Show. But now you're doing your own thing. Like, tell us all about that. You got a couple of podcasts going on.
Yeah, I do. Well, podcasts are kind of a new thing that people are kind of stumbling upon. And when I was the executive producer for the Jim Jeffries Show, I did, I produced Not Safe for Nikki Glazer, stuff with Adam Devine. I've done a lot of comedy. I came from the Tavis Smiley world, which was very political, and then a serious conversation, to being over political. And I was producing Democratic and Republican debates. And I went through the whole political phase, and I realized it's a sloppy game in politics, and it's everything was too serious. And then I went completely the other way and got into comedy, and then I kind of just took off. I took a back route to get where I wanted to go because no one would let me make creative decisions. So I went from the production side, worked my way up to understand finances, all that other stuff about how production worked, came to the back door to get to a higher to a higher place. But podcasts are one of those things. When I was helping produce the Jim Jeffries Show podcast, and then I realized that this is a $1 billion industry, which grows by $1 billion every year. So I've been working with Spotify and a couple to produce other people's podcasts. It doesn't take much to set up, but there is kind of a.
Tell us about that. How hard is it to set up a podcast? You said it doesn't take much setup. Like,
you can set up your own podcast relatively easy for a couple $100. And in fact, you can do it for less now. There's so many tools available to you with Zencaster and your own computer and a microphone that plugs into your laptop. Anchor, who is my sponsor for one of my podcasts, is a free site that allows you to pretty much edit and put everything right into the computer or your phone or iPad. So yeah, anyone can do a podcast, and there are hundreds of thousands of them. But the interesting part is that there are actually like 500,000 of them, but there are so many of them that the average number of listeners is like 25 people, right? Because most people are doing it, and it's like their mom and 3 kids at school and the 2 kids at work on it, right? So if you have got a couple thousand people, you're in the top few percent, right? Because that's how many there are. Every comedian's got one. Anyone who thinks they're interesting at all has got one. Even myself, I'm not that interesting. I just happen to work.
You're hilarious.
I just happen to work with interesting people. So podcast is one of my production company things that I'm doing right now. And obviously we're all not doing anything. I've been working on a show with DL Hughley and Adam Devine. And so in the meantime, I'm doing my own podcast, and podcasting is kind of it's a growing business. There's money to make.
You got two.
Well, yeah, I do one called the Unsolicited Podcast, and on social media. It is actually about. It's like the Seinfeld of the podcast. It's about nothing. It was a spin-off show of the Jim Jeffries show, and then it was pretty much three people on it. We're all from three generations. I'm the oldest, and then we're all 10 years apart. So you got a 22, a 32, and a 42-year-old on this, and our opinions have gotten are so different. Even though we would both consider ourselves, maybe we think about things on the same. We don't talk politics, but let's just use this for an example. A 42-year-old liberal is much different than a 32-year-old liberal, and a much more different than a 22-year-old liberal. Like the bar slides. Like you think that you are just same type of people, but you're not. And so we take live calls, we take voice messages, emails, and we just answer questions. And it's kind of like three friends having a drink, shooting the shit, which is very common for podcasts. We just happened to be lucky because we piggybacked off a very successful comedian for a while.
Wait, so you said that you take live calls. When and where?
Well, we use other social media platforms to let people know that we're recording, and they call in into the computer, and I can.
And is there a time, day and time?
Not particular. It changes all the time. But we just have a loyal following that kind of pays attention to when that happens. But mainly, you can leave a voicemail 1-833-266-7667, or follow someone by the name of Zach Jacket on Facebook, and you can leave voice messages there. Right. And that's led to me wanting to do my own podcast by myself, because I'm considered like the old grumpy guy who likes to.
What was that number, Caps?
1-833-266-7667.
7667. That's 833-266-7667. 1-833-266-7667. All right, let me know if we got this right here. Hold on one second here. Check this feature out. Let's see if I get that right. You see it on the bottom there?
Look at you.
Yeah. Fancy.
And so it's kind of fun. It's definitely not it's an NSFW, I guess you would call it. It's not like one thing you want to be playing loud at work. It's It's funny, but it's not for everybody. Put it that way. Well, and so basically, I complain a lot on that. I'm considered a complainer and a grumpy. They call me the grumpy old man, but I kind of parlayed that into a new show that the name is. You want to say it?
Yeah, I love it. Hey, I'm walking here.
Yeah, it's called Hey, I'm Walking Here with Tommy Caprio, and it's basically essentially me walking and complaining about things, but also coming up with solutions. So it's not just a rant complaining page. It's about the small things in life that we complain about that, maybe there's a solution for, and maybe it's not. So it's me, and I'm going to use some other comedians. Meester Mario is going to come on, a bunch of people, and we're not always going to be able to walk together, but I can call, and I have this microphone that I walk around with in the streets of California and of LA. So it's kind of interesting.
Is it one of those old school mics?
Yeah, like the big one. Yeah. I love like walking around with it. But yeah, hopefully we'll get to hear some conversations about what bothers people and how they overcome it. I definitely want to talk about things that I'm interested in, like crystals. I'm interested in problem. Yeah, it is very random for a guy like me. But problem solving, trying to constantly keep positive, which I think I'll definitely talk to you about. And I might as well ask you a question while I'm here. You always are positive.
Yep.
And how do you do it? I mean, that's another very broad question, but it's like you always have.
I give you a short answer here. And I learned it. That right now we're in quarantine time, and I just developed habits. I developed healthy habits, and I developed even more of them during the quarantine. But the way I step positive is like what you feed your mind. People would ask. I'm sure they'll ask you because you're always happy because even though you rant and rave, like things work out for you. And how does that work? How come everything works out for Tommy? He's producer here, and now he's got 2 shows, and he's got a beautiful girlfriend, and he's living with her. And well, you feed your mind probably positive things. And that's what I do. I think a lot of people do the same thing. So I have to be be on guard at the gate of my mind every day. So here's one thing that I picked up, and I love to share with you and everyone. During the quarantine, I developed this habit of not looking at my phone for the first hour of the day. It meant that I had to get up an hour early, but I don't go to Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, or messages or WhatsApp. I don't do that for the first hour of the day. I own the first hour, and whether I want to meditate, whether I want to read, whether I want to just sit there and be grateful that I woke up, and then I go from there. The rest of the day will happen. But that's just one tip to answer your question. So
all right, well, I'm sure we'll get into a lot more of that. But I think 100%. That's a great. I'm kind of an anomaly like that, and I'm very strange. And I get a lot of people who, for lack of better words, bust my balls about. They're like, you're such an interesting person because you have this like Jersey persona. You do rant and rave. You're kind of like, hey, this guy, and then you like pull out a pocket of crystals, and then you're like meditating at lunch. And you like, you're into all this, my books are all, spiritual related and Dharma and all this other stuff and searching, Christianity and Native American sweat lodges, walkabouts, pilgrimages, all that's like, I'm always searching for something, which is not normally my personality. It kind of throws people off, Hey, but that stuff keeps me healthy.
You mentioned your books. I looked behind you to see what books you had there, but then I also noticed, is that a picture of you wrestling over your shoulder there?
Yeah, that is.
Nice. It's on the other side. Yeah.
We have.
Let's see it.
I have this. This is me. This scrappings. Let's get to that. This.
Which one are you?
This guy over here. This one over here.
Yeah.
Right. This skinny guy here. I wish I had that physique. It's a big match, but it's funny because me and Mario both have we have that in common. We are wrestlers, and there is this fraternal bonding amongst wrestlers around the world.
100%.
Yeah, it definitely builds some type of character, and there's that second gear that wrestlers have in life. You wouldn't believe the amount of success and wrestling that correlate more than any other sport. There are some studies and research about it, so.
Yeah,
pretty interesting.
100%. I'd love to actually look into that research more. I just know that wrestling, I always said that builds the best character, no matter what sport you play. Wrestling builds your character. It doesn't matter about winning or losing. That's almost secondary to what you can get from wrestling. But I want, you just mentioned something. Your superpower. What is your superpower?
My superpower is the ability to get along with anyone. I know that sounds like a weird superpower. My dad used to call me a chameleon because I would come home with some of the strangest people ever and be like, the fact that you two are standing next to each other, I would never imagine that you would even be friends, let alone that you can walk into a room and get along with anyone. And I know that sounds like something that sounds like it would be conceited to say, but it's also the advice that I give to interns and PAs and production assistants and people who are starting out like, how do I do it? What do I do? I said, this is just you need to be the most liked person in the room without being annoying. Because at the end of the day, if me and Mario walk into a job and Mario went to Harvard or Yale, and I went to, Essex County Community College, which I was close to going to, in New Jersey, at the end of the day, it's like I still, as an employer, ask myself, you clearly are a smarter person. You can understand arithmetic better and all that other stuff. And we both go in the room and I'm like likable and charismatic. And we're going to be taught the skills that we need to be taught to do the job. But at the end of the day, as an employer, I think to myself, who do I want to spend 17 hours a day with? Mario or Tommy? And at the end of the day, the guy who, no, at the end, maybe not, that'd be a tough competition for you. But sometimes like, Mario, I love you, but maybe someone might say the guy's too positive. He's always happy. That would drive me fucking insane. I'm sorry. Beep. That would drive me insane, right? If there are people like that, they're like, we can't have someone running around the office. Well, yeah, we can't have someone running around the office like that. It'll be 8:00 in the morning, and I don't even get my coffee yet. And he's ready to go. I want a guy who's like got my pace. So it's like you have to read people. I remember when I first started, we had all these jobs to choose from, right? And it was at you can either do the job greeting these guests, and huge celebrities, every celebrity you ever known walked into the door of this place I was working. And so you can greet them and meet with them and talk to them and bring them to the set and all that other stuff. Or you can do the job that I took, which I consciously made the decision to choose, was I'm going to be the teleprompter operator. Because here's the thing, the person who owned the company and the host of the show would have to know my name because he's talking to me to put stuff in a prompter. And that seat also sits right next to the executive producer of the show. So I sacrificed being with all the celebrities and being all the cool stuff in order to be with the important people that made me valuable. They'd have to know my name. And then when those other jobs came up for the producer jobs and the other things, guess who got them? Because I had the connection with the executive producer. So, and I also realized they both had really bad ADD just by reading people. And so what I would do is give them little tidbits of information, because another great advice I received years ago is make sure you give people just enough, but not too much for them to realize you're an idiot. So I would remember to be like, all right, don't talk too much. Just, you realize they got like a Yankee, you little things. You go in their office, they may have a ball on the shelf, so with a Yankee symbol on it. You go in, hey, did you see that game last night? Oh, it was a great game, right? Boop, get out. Now you gave them enough. They like you. They realize that you're into what they're into. Everybody likes to talk about things that they like. Yeah, that's it, man.
Did you actually
superpower? I could read a room.
Did you actually see the game the night before?
Maybe not. I would just go and look it up real quick and be like, what happened with the Yankees last night?
Because it was a good game if they lost.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't be that stupid. I would check to make sure they won. And then if you start to ask too many questions, I'd be like, well, I'm not really a Yankee fan. Oh, yeah? What team you like?
I got to go. I can't talk too much.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't try and talk to somebody about something you don't know about. You don't want to give people too much.
You said you were a mountaineer. You went to West Virginia, and you were. I know you were a communication broadcast journalism major. Did West Virginia help you out at all in your career?
College usually doesn't help a lot of people unless you go for something very specific, right? About like a very specific major. I would say that West Virginia helped me in one way. It was the #1 party school in the country. All right. And I don't say it to be like, very proud of it. But at the time, I almost picked it because I said to myself, I want to be a writer. And I don't really think it matters where I go. I want to go to a place where I can have the most experience. Right. Because I'm just going to write. I need to get a college education. And I believe that. Unless you are, I would say unless you go to Ivy League, the only reason you go to Ivy League is so that you can be friends with people who already have money. If I had a kid and can afford for them to go to Ivy League, I'd say you go to Ivy League, be the most liked person at the university, make a lot of friends, get by simple grades, because you're going to be there with legacies, senators' kids, CEOs' children, all of those stuff. And they just help each other up in the real world. That's why they're more successful. The books are the same. The education's the same at state schools versus Ivy League. It's just about who you're hanging out there with, right? So I figured I wanted to go to a school that was going to be a good time. And when I got there, my God, I went there with a bunch of friends from high school, and all of them failed out. I had a bunch of friends that came in freshman year. About 42% of the freshman class doesn't come back after the first semester. It is just too much excitement and too many bars on cap and too much fun that people just can't handle it. And I didn't handle it well. I failed miserably my first semester. And luckily, I begged, give me another shot. I'll retake the class. I'll do better. And I did. But I learned how to do it for me. No classes before noon. Night classes if I had.
That was just like the lawnmower company you worked for.
Right. No math or science. Just keep it simple. Communications, broadcasting, stuff I can do. Public speaking. I learned how to make it work for me. So I learned those skills on what works for me. Yeah, I learned how to have a very active social life and still get by. So I think college is all it is about what you put forward as far as trying to achieve something and doing it. Unfortunately, it becomes a financial thing for some people and all that other stuff. But it's like I wasn't getting any valuable skills for life. Plus, you have to also think, I don't want to age myself, Mario, but the internet just started when I got there. We took typing my senior year in high school. Remember, we had like typing with a typewriter, and then all of a sudden the internet shows up when I come to my freshman year. And like, here's an email. We're like, what are you talking about? Now these kids have classes online and iPads and stuff. Like, we were still filling out Scantrons with the pencils and the paper, right? Thank God, because I wouldn't be able to cheat.
True. Well, we did give our age. I mean, we know where we're at in life, but that's true. Actually, my first email I ever sent in my life was my freshman year of college.
Yeah.
I was like, this is the coolest thing ever.
I didn't get a cell phone like towards the end because we would fight about the bill all the time and who was calling New York and who was calling New Jersey.
Remember the minutes? Remember I used to count the minutes?
Okay.
50 seconds. I gotta go.
Yeah, just no texting. You thought you were the coolest guy in the world because you had your people friends in your phone. It was like this big. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a different experience than it is now. I'm so happy I grew up in an era without social media.
Right.
I know anyone who's older will say that, and anyone who's younger will be like, "Oh, way to go, boomer!" And you're like, "You're so stupid." This is another thing. I can't stand these kids are like, when you try and make a statement like that, and they're like, "Oh, calm down, boomer." I'm like, "You're so dumb. You don't even know that I'm not a boomer. My dad's a boomer." Dummies,
you just prove how dumb you are.
This is what Hey, I'm Walking Here is about. Stop calling me boomer. I'm not a boomer. If you knew anything, you're so smart, you know everything. You would know that a boomer was born after World War II. I'm not even Gen Z. I don't even know what I am. Gen X or something.
I think we're X. But that's so what you will talk about more than on Hey, I'm Walking Here with Tommy Caprio. I can't wait to do that. The unsolicited podcast. I guess people can go on Spotify and type in unsolicited
Spotify,
podcast.
The unsolicited podcast. You can go on the Hey, I'm Walking Here. The college question, though, I want to bring this up because I think you're going to go there. Yeah. Does my major have anything to do with what I do for a career? I guess to a certain degree, but it's not like I learned a journalism integrity has anything to do with. We lost that a long time ago. You know what I mean? With everyone's got their own news source and news is a joke. So nothing I learned really in college was useful in the world. And I think that you pick these things. And was it you telling me about the statistics about happiness in college and career and all that other stuff?
Yeah, the statistic that I read was that only 27% of the college graduates actually get a job in their major. And of that 27%, only 13% are happy with their jobs.
Oh, yeah. How many people who are lawyers or like chefs right now in a restaurant? Lawyers is one of the biggest ones that people jump out of because they're always in debt, right? They because there's so many lawyers, especially in the Northeast, New Jersey, New York, and there's just not enough jobs for them. Right. And so and then they also realize I hate court. I hate reading this stuff. And then they end up doing something else. And I think the reason for that is that parents force these kids about what they think would make them happy. Steady jobs, consistent paychecks, all that other stuff. And so that's why people are so unhappy doing something that they picked that they felt they didn't like. I can't not do this now because I invested so much time in it. And it's scary to make a change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe you jumped around careers.
I sure did. I've kept a positive mental attitude to keep moving because
you were guarding the gate of your mental well-being. That I like that. That's what I'm getting.
You like that? Okay.
Yeah.
Use it, man.
I need to work on that. I got to be honest with you. We are in quarantine, and about last week, I think I was on one of my podcasts, or I was just talking with friends and stuff, and I had a couple really rough days. I could start to see myself slip, where it's like I'm sleeping later and later. I get up, move from the bed, go to the couch, fall back asleep. Didn't go for my walk, didn't do my exercise, didn't even open the computer. You stop interest in like social media, which is probably better anyway. But like just anything would interest you. And then luckily luckily I have someone I'm living with, obviously, and my girlfriend who cares and knows me and realizes that there's something wrong to kind of help you break that. Like, hey, let's go.
Tell us more about that, because this is about about being a certain age, which we are, late 30s, early 40s, being single and serious about getting married. What is it about this person that you're with that I'm going to move in with this person? I know you were thinking about it when you were watering the lawn.
We're both from the same area. We both come from the same type of background. And believe it or not, I met her out here in Los Angeles. And so to me, I always used to have this worry that I really like my family. I'm really into my family, and I always had this worry that I would move somewhere and then meet somebody I really liked, and they'd be from Spokane, Washington, and I'd be like, I'd never see them again at holidays. It would be separate. So here I found somebody who was like right from the same area I was, and so we traveled to the same place to go back for the holidays, but also had the same values, knew the same places I grew up and all these different things. So that was huge, but also gets me. There are, I'm not going to lie and say, that I don't have my moody days, and thank you for saying I'm funny, and people do think that I'm funny, and I some of the stuff I write and things I do I think are comedic, but with that comes a pendulum swing of depression, and I've suffered with anxiety for many, many years. Which I can talk about forever. It's one of my missions to help people talk about what people did. That's why I started seeking all those things, searching for meditation and some type of Zen or something, because I was in a bad place many times in my life. So I know the slippery slope of anxiety, depression, and all those different things. And I think she gets that. She knows when I need space. She knows when I need when I need to be, I'm too stubborn and need to be pulled out. Hey, come back. I know you're going somewhere. I can see the pattern. You're sleeping. Because you do learn someone's patterns, but also knowing that there's times that I'm just like, let him go. We have other rooms in the office. Let him go in his office and play on his computer and play a video game or what, and not nag. Right. Knowing that, because I'll tell you what does happen as you do get older, and you may attest to this. And people in their 40s, like, it is hard to change habits. A lot of women we used to say, like, I dated before Jacqueline would say, "Oh, you're too far gone. This is not going to work because you're too far gone. You're too stuck in your ways," which could be a thing. A lot of people are. You're not going to change. You're too stuck in your way. I'm like, well,
you find the person that likes the way you're at.
I have dated enough people before to know what I don't want. Right. So it's not like what did you get? What did you learn from this relationship? Well, I learned what I don't want. Right. It's not about always learning like what you do want. It's like, well, I know that I'm not going to put up with someone who's insensitive to when I'm not feeling good. If I'm having a depressed day or having anxiety, and them to be like, "Oh, grow up, you're a man, toughen up." I've had people be like that. Then I'm like, well, you just don't get me. Right. And I'm going to be all over the place. And so when you find someone who does, it's just like, all right, that's really nice, because this is going to be a seesaw for the rest of my life. Like, I imagine whoever Mario ends up with is going to have to deal with this positivity every day. Just like, shut up, Mario.
There's also that pendulum on this side as well.
Would you get sick?
I have to work so hard because there is that pendulum, like you're saying, But you're right. They gotta. If they don't want to live, a beautiful life, then it's gonna be tough. They say there's two ways we can look at things: a positive and a negative. We can smile and not smile. It takes more muscles to frown than it does to smile. Absolutely. So, and believe me, I get challenged and I try to focus, like, oh, this is happening to me. This is happening for me. That's another one of my favorite quotes. This is happening for me, not to me. I'm supposed to learn. I'm supposed to develop. And
it's like the other one. But believe me, I got more self-help books here than anyone else in the world. Like, why is this happening?
What's your favorite one? Come on.
Well, some of my favorite ones, believe it, are like more spiritual texts, like Living Buddha, Living Christ, which kind of compares the Holy Spirit to Dharma, which has always been very helpful for me. But I have something called City Dharma, which is like everyday scenarios and how to use like a more Zen approach to them. I like to read autobiographies about people who have had their ups and downs, and I'm just finishing one with Don Rickles now. But I can't think of all of them off the top of my head. I just read The Alchemist. Have you ever read that?
Oh, that's a great book. Oh, yeah.
And I'm reading it now for the third time, because I always find something new when I read it. Is the Celestine Prophecy. Those books like that are storytelling books that always have a really good message about the bus stops here. The seven, what's another one called? The Traveler's Gift. I love those type of stories. I've always been into that.
You said it's City Dharma, The Alchemist, Celestine Prophecy. There was another one you mentioned that I'm not here of.
The Traveler's Gift.
Traveler's Gift. Yeah, what's that all about?
Another one of those situations where this is where the famous thing of when people say, "Why me?" instead of saying, "Why not me?"
Why not me?
Right?
That's right.
Meaning like, why me? It's like, why not me? And it's kind of like the bus stops here. And basically this guy is in an afterlife journey to figure out all these different, he's a traveler.
I absolutely love talking to you. You made this so easy. You give so many like words of advice. I think that whoever sees this is really going to benefit. Even like college students, especially knowing your road, like when you said you hit rock bottom, your success in Hollywood, which is not easy to succeed in, and now your success in you've always had success in your personal life. It's just now it's like the bamboo tree. You water it for 5 years and nothing happens, but all of a sudden, shoo, it sprouts up. Mm-hmm. Now you've met this wonderful woman. You've moved in with her. You're serious about marriage.
And we can talk about how that's not always peaches either. It's tough. It's work. When people used to say it's work, I realize it's work. And I'm no easy. No, but you
prepare for the work. Why? Because you're a wrestler, and we just kick in the second gear, and but that's it. I mean, that's everything. I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your insight and sharing your stories. We literally, I know that we can go on if I don't stop it
for hours. Yeah, I don't want to bore.
We're already 10 minutes over, but it was absolutely worth it.
Well, you can edit me out, but
we're going all the way with this. But I'm gonna make sure that we make this happen. Hey, I'm walking here with Tommy Caprio. I want people to go check out.
And I'll come on again some other time if you want. Look at me begging to come on. I need you to talk to me. Thank you, Mario. I appreciate it. And like I said, I'm so happy for all your success and everything you've done. If there's certain people in life you say, man, they really deserve it and earned it. And I always say that about you. Think that about you. So
right back at you, man. Your tenacity, you're very humble, man. I remember, I never forget the day that we met in Hollywood. Not the day we met, but we were chit-chatting, and you said to me, you're like, I'm a suit, man. I wear a suit now. Like, because you became that guy, but you're like, yeah, I'm the guy now that makes decisions. Like, and you're so humble about it. You didn't even want to drive. Like, I remember, like, you didn't even want to drive your BMW around, but like, I got to drive. But I don't want people to have a BMW, but I have it because it's comfortable.
I got rid of it. Eventually, I started to at one point live a life that I thought I was supposed to live and people wanted to.
Tell them about your first car. Tell them about the first car you had in LA. Because
that's a CRX, Honda CRX, the old school one, 2-seater, like a lawnmower. I would hit the Crescent Heights hill, and I would have to like get it up to like 50 just so I would eventually get over the top at one point and just start going and like, it wasn't good. And then I just started buying, then I had some money and I started buying cars I thought were cool, and I started dressing a certain way. And then honestly, I had a breakdown. I had a depression breakdown. And then I was like, I'm not doing this shit I don't want to do. I honestly, we can talk about this another time, but I literally moved to LA and started doing some of this stuff just to prove people wrong who said it couldn't be done. And then that's no way to do things for other people. And that was really depressing to me. And then I was like, I got the Jeep of my dreams, the Wrangler with the top down, that's still down, never goes up. I got I got the car I wanted. I got the job I wanted on my terms. If I wasn't wearing a goddamn suit, if I didn't want to, period. And so, now, and that's what you do. You start living for you, and I can't, there's nothing. Right. Well,
that's it. Hey, listen. So before we go, I always say this. This is how we say goodbye in Spanish, but I made this up. In English, I say peace out. In Spanish, we say pasa afuera. So can you just say pasa afuera?
Pasa afuera.
I love you, man. You crack me up. Let me see here. Oh my God, so funny.